everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters just like yourself. I am Evan Irwin. We get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Ruben Bressler.
Hi, everybody. How's it going? I'm in the middle now.
MTG Nerd Girl.
Hi.
Way over there.
Yeah, look at you pointing in the same direction twice.
I might face it for next week. I don't know. We'll figure it out. That said, if you missed our pre-show, subscribers to this channel get access to our NSFW version early, as well as our patrons, which we appreciate. And kick it off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But sub first to get 2 chances to win. And support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid tonight. That is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, and you can find cool stuff in stock every day. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, it is quite the week of announcements. It's so wild that I thought we were going to be here talking so much about Universes Beyond and Transformers, which we will absolutely get to. But Wizards was like, hold my beer, because we got to get to some announcements first. Okay. We are kicking off the Magic's 30th anniversary celebration. This was a special stream they ran on Monday morning at 6 a.m. local time for Wizards, so they could get it out there before the investor call, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But either way, they're making 30 years products with that logo on them. I would like to note, in contrast, this is light years from what they did for the 20th anniversary of Magic, which was almost nothing, practically zero. Because they didn't want Magic to seem old. It was wild. Anyway, so they're going to make the 30th anniversary, and there's going to do play promos. We've talked about these before, where they do them as they've been released by year, which is cool. They showed off some new ones, like with Phyrexia All Will Be One, which is pretty neat. Also, did you know that the set code for that is 1? O-N-E.
Oh, good.
Isn't that cool?
That's an all-time set code. I like that one.
Bro followed by 1. Like, let's go. Yeah. So these are super rad, and they go out through the years, which is cool. They even show you the March of the Machines. The Lord of the Rings release is going to have a Japanese freaking Tarmogoyf. Right. As the promo. These are the promos that you can pick up if you play in the pre-releases at your local game store. So show up to try to get try to get your hands on one of these. Wilds of Eldraine, again, showing us stuff far in the future. Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which will be super awesome. Check out that Dragon Lord Atarka in the retro frame. Super BA.
Very cool.
Set codename Polo. For God's sakes, they can't even tell the name of the set that they're showing you the promos for them, which is brilliant. I mean, that Dovin's Veto is...
Yep.
Fantastic.
The Deadly Dispute is a nice one. That's a good common to put in a promo spot.
Yeah, fantastic. So for the players on the path of the Pro Tour, or Pro Tour 3, regional championship qualifier events, which began in January of 2023, they're going to be distributing some alternate art promo cards. They're all blue because somebody has been reading.
Look at this thing in the ice.
This thing in the ice.
Thing in the ice is hilarious.
What's going on right there? Not exactly sure, but it's dope.
He's stuck in a little cube. Now open him up.
And he's like, ah!
Open him up. And he's still right there. Look at him. He's like that guy's adorable.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Is that the jumbo crab from like the Secret Lair crab thing?
Oh, it might be.
That'd be awesome.
Kind of looks like a crab.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's going to come and get you. Well, if you make it all the way to the regional championship, the Snapcaster Mage promo is a nice one.
It looks like it was like drawn in 1994. I like it.
I love it. I think that's cool. So they're going to talk about the Brothers War. They're going to show up in Magic 30. They gave us some previews, however, from the Brothers War, including one of the mechanics. And it's a lot. All right. So they showed us Urza last week, and now we get to see Mishra, and they are also again melding things together and getting crazy. Mishra, claimed by Gix, is a black, red, and 2 generic mana for a 3/5 mythic legendary Phyrexian human artificer. And whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of attacking creatures. If Mishra, claimed by Gix, and a creature named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking, which we'll get to, and you own and control both of them, you exile them and meld them together. Well, what is Phyrexian Dragon Engine? Well, it is a 3 generic mana, 2/2 double strike that enters the battlefield. That when it enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you may discard your hand if you do draw 3 cards, which has been seen on a bunch of different cards at this point.
Yeah.
However, Unearth is a part of the set. For 2 red and 3 generic mana, you can return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. You exile at the end of you exile it if it would be put in any other zone, I think is the way they put it.
Yeah.
So, firstly, the rares seem neat. Like, this is your 3 into 4? Okay.
Or your 4 into 5 for that matter.
Yeah.
Those are fine Magic cards. And if that's all they did, great.
We wouldn't be really talking about.
They would not be really talked about. But that's not all they do.
When you flip these...
When you attack with them both at the same time.
You attack with them both at the same time, and you flip and you meld. This better be the sickest looking thing on Arena, I swear to God. Because Mishra Lost to Phyrexia is ridiculous. It is a 9/9 legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Artificer, and whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you choose 3 of these. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Mishra deals 3 damage to any target. Destroy target artifact or planeswalker. Creatures you control gain menace and trample until end of turn. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 until end of turn. Or create 2 tapped Power Stone tokens. My God, it's exhausting just explaining what all this does.
Yeah, that's a heck of a thing that you have there. So it is a 9/9, and I believe that Urza, when the flip meld Urza ticks up twice, it becomes 9 loyalty. So there's a little bit of
so Mishra can kill Urza
without using one of its, destroy target whatever abilities. Right. Yes. So there's a little bit of poeticness there, which I think is pretty cool. We get to have a Phyrexian Dragon engine, which is a big part of the Brothers War. Part of its history. And I mean, this card is insane. So if you're going to flip into a creature, if you're going to meld into a creature, it better be doing something crazy.
Let's duel. Like, holy shit. Why are we blue eyes, red dragoning nonsense all the time?
Yeah.
Can't we just have a creature that attacks?
All the time? We haven't melded anything since Shadows over Innistrad.
I'm old. This looks like an uncard with a lot of text on it. And I'm so glad I don't have to do set reviews anymore, Evan. I love you so much.
Listen.
I don't want to talk about this card.
If you open Mishra Claim to Gix, are you on the Phyrexian Dragon Engine train? That's the question. Is that...
both cards are completely reasonable without melding them, right? Like a 3/5 for 4... that when it attacks, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of attacking creatures. That's a fine creature to pick just by yourself.
Right.
Probably not a first pickable card in Limited because it is multicolored and you're really leaning heavily into that. Depends on the mana fixing of the set. A 3 mana 2/2 double striker that you can unearth to Ox of Agonas and have a turn of a 2/2 double striker. That is way more first pickable. That's actually just a good card, by itself. And I think that, the dream is alive of doing this in Limited, but I don't think that's ever going to really.
I want to do this in Limited.
I like that the better rate card is the rare, not the mythic, because the mythic is the hard part to get. So if you pack one, pick one I would hate for the second piece to be rare to actually be poop, because then it's going to come around a lot later, and then this will be a thing that can actually happen a lot more. Now, maybe that's cool, and maybe we want that to be the case. I'm happy to have that argument, but if we're saying that this is super powered and something that we want to be searching for the other piece in EDH or in Constructed or whatever, then it isn't very likely that you can pull this off in Limited, just because you're going to pick up that mythic, and the rares will all be taken. You actually have to open both of them. Now, you could open the rare, take that, and maybe the mythic gets passed if they're not in someone's color, but the other one's colorless too. So it's definitely going to get taken. So I feel like the way you have to get this is by opening the rare and being shipped the mythic.
Nice. I mean, I'll obviously, again, I want to live this dream more than most, I can imagine. But here we are.
And the card's cool.
I think the card's great. And I love Meld. I think Meld's neat.
And you'll never have to do another set review ever again because all the cards are going to change in 3 weeks anyway.
Yeah, they're just going to remake them again. We'll talk about that later. That said, they have a bunch of dates for when the Brothers War stuff is going to come out. They talked about Dominaria Remastered, which is coming out in the first quarter of 2023. This is taking, 20 plus sets from Dominaria and putting them back into the packs. And we have the promo is the original Mark Poole art and the retro frame, which is the release promo, which I thought was awesome.
Wait, so you said 20 sets? What is the remastered?
This is taking cards from over 20 sets that were based on Dominaria throughout the years and reprinting them.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a reprint set. But that said, the Counterspell promo, I think, is super dope. Birds of Paradise, check that out, because there are going to be collector packs of this because we got to improve those profit margins. We'll get to that too. But this Birds of Paradise looks amazing, and it is the OG art for the base printing and the retro frame.
Yeah, just the original classic drawing that Mark Poole made. Originally, I believe the story was that he made this illustration for Volcanic Island. Mm-hmm. And then they said, the focus is on the bird, so we're just going to make a card for the bird, but we also want a different art for the Volcanic Island.
So they just made one of the greatest Magic cards of all time because the art wasn't exactly what they were looking for.
But they liked the art so much that they just made a new thing.
Yeah. So this is gorgeous. Jester's Cap. Look at this Jester's Cap. I mean, particularly this extended art borderless version.
I was just going to say this Matt Cavada psychopathic Jester's Cap is hilarious. I love it.
Gorgeous.
The art on the middle one, I at least think, is really pretty too.
Yeah, unreal. Matt Cavada absolutely destroyed it. And for what it's worth, that's like a $9 or $10 card now. So
really,
yeah, part of it just because it hasn't been reprinted in a long time. Sure. But back in the day, Jester's Cap was the hotness from Ice Age. I want to try to explain to y'all, if you lived in 1996 and played Magic, this was the hottest card. Everyone was losing their minds over Jester's Cap. It was the number one thing you wanted to pull out of the packs and out of your starter decks for Ice Age because it was just the hotness. Oh my God, you can touch other players' decks and get rid of their cards. It was pandemonium back in the day. The super cool card, fantastic artwork there. Time Stretch coming back as a mythic in the set. This card's like $30 or something.
Yeah,
$25, $30. Commander All-Star indeed. And Tatiova from Dominaria is going to get a retro frame release.
Cool,
which I thought was kind of cool. Sneak Attack also coming back in the old OG art as a mythic.
Ooh,
they keep putting this thing as a mythic and stuff, and keeps its value at like $20. Sneak Attack sticking around. And Swords to Plowshares, different artwork, very cool. Retro frame.
I like that artwork. That's neat.
Yeah, it's
Just
nice,
for Rising. I like that one.
Yeah. So Shadows of Rain and Strahd Remastered is coming in the first half of 2023 to Magic Arena.
Okay.
Yay.
We have no information on that at all.
I am very excited about that.
It's just another remastered.
I'll take it. There's a ton of cards from that set that I would love to play with.
Sure.
That would be great. As well as a second Explorer anthology.
Okay.
Can I please get a Monastery Swiftspear, please? Please? One time Swiftspear. One time. That's all I'm saying. And this is what I thought is burying the lead. We're going to get to the silliness here in a second. But what I thought was the coolest damn thing that I cannot believe no one was talking about afterwards was the 30th anniversary countdown kit. This is a set of 30 boosters with stylized wrappers that mark their year, one for each Magic year. And you'll find a card printed from that year with a twist. It comes in the style of a secret layer. And they've brought back popular artists to create these. And, they aren't just nostalgic. They're also tried and true tournament winners. And so they give you an example here. Shark Typhoon, Necropotence, Chrome Mox, Birthing Pod, this Elspeth Sun's Champion, if it were printed in beta, a Chibi Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh, an ungodly gorgeous Bloodbraid Elf. And again, all of these have the chance of being foil, and you get to basically open one starting December 1st all the way through the month if you'd like. It costs $150. They're on sale November 1st until they sell out, which will probably be within hours tops.
Yeah.
This thing is unreal. This thing is $150 for the 30 cards. Again, they could all be foil, and that's $5 a card. And that's the best damn deal I've seen in the Secret Lair in a while.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
The Sharknado makes me so happy that they were just
sick.
like, here's a Sharknado. It's very good.
I think the art is really cool for Sharknado, but I actually really liked the original art.
Yeah,
that's great.
I think all of these are super stylistically interesting. I think that, if we didn't have so much more to talk about, we could look at each of these and say, wow, how cool of a choice this card is, and this card is, and this art is, and this interesting thing. But there's something else to talk about.
Oh, there is. This is where the lead got buried, because this should be like the thing we're gushing about, and how cool this is, and how great this is, and blah, blah, blah. Cool, whatever.
Or how it's ruining Magic, or whatever you want to talk about.
Right. Or how everything sucks now, and yada, yada, yada. Well, Magic 30th Anniversary Edition. Ladies and gentlemen, the words non-tournament legal have never been more important. There is a gold border-backed Magic 30th Anniversary Edition product. And, oh boy, are they going to celebrate, quote unquote. That's a Black Lotus in a modern frame, and that's a Black Lotus in a retro frame.
Yeah.
And I would like to remind you all that there already exists a Black Lotus with a gold border frame, the collector's edition and international edition version. That's a $4,000 card. Okay. So if we bring it back here real fast, you can see here that a commemorative collectible non-tournament legal product, which is the magical term to get around the reserved list, is what they are offering here. And they are offering this magical box with 4 packs in it, because this isn't a boxed product where you know what you get and you're getting the Lotus and the Moxes and whatever. This is a boxed product that contains packs with commons, uncommons, lands, and tokens that sells for 4 packs for $1,000. $1,000. The packs apparently look like that right there. Each pack's going to contain 15 cards, 13 in the modern frame, a rare, 3 uncommons, 7 commons, and 2 basic lands, plus 1 basic land in the retro frame and 1 additional retro frame card and a token. And let's just note here real fast. That's fast bond art.
Yeah.
On a human wizard token. What the hell is going on there?
Yeah, that was weird. I saw that and was like, that's bizarre.
So you have a retro frame, land. It has the word tap on it. Like, I get that that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think that's rad. You have dual lands that are going to appear twice as frequently as any other non-dual land rare. And that's true for modern frame and retro frame, which is kind of cool. All right. And additionally, every 30th anniversary card included matches the rarity of its counterpart in beta. There's no mythic rares. So you have the chance of opening a Mox just as much as you do a veteran bodyguard, for God's sake. There are lots of swings and misses that you would get with this set. Sure. They also note that they have removed 6 cards completely off the anti-cards Earthbind weakness, which is kind of weird, and Crusade, which they got rid of a long time ago, for a variety of reasons. But they're going to give all WPN stores 1 of these packages and 3 of them to all premium stores, which is nice. This is printing Ancestral Recalls, and this is printing Lightning Bolts and the retro frames and whatnot, and this is cool as hell. However, we got to back up just a second here. So let's think about this just a little bit, right? There's certain amounts of math that have to be done here. And this is why it is as cool and as clever as a product can be. Absolutely, no kidding. Whoever came up with this at Wizards, my hat is tipped, because this does so much for you. So let's do the math. The math was done by Michael Caffrey. Good old Michael Caffrey noted on Twitter. He says, back of the envelope, the OG had 117 rares. This set has 114 plus 10 duels. Every pack has 1.3 rares. So you're opening 95 packs for 1 of every card. It's about $24,000.
Yeah.
You know how much a collector's edition sells for these days?
I would venture to guess $24,000.
Almost exactly. Almost exactly. So if you're going to make a gold bordered back product and you don't want to demolish the value of the original gold backed border product, make them the same price ultimately. Now you'll still get more dual lands. You'll still get the retro frame stuff, which is a good bonus. You're going to spend $24,000 here, but you're not going to devalue anything that they have. This is the ability to skirt the reserve list. This is the ability to find a new watermark on what whales will or will not buy. This does not damage the collection of any existing whales and their collector's edition, international edition stuff. And it's an unfreaking believably profitable product. I mean, it would make a CEO of a pharmaceutical company blush at the unbelievable profit margins of that box of Magic cards.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
So, go ahead.
Nope, that's it. I was agreeing.
Nurgle, you in for 24 of these? Gonna roll high?
85 packs.
I am in for 0 of these. I hope that this does not go well. Universally, the backlash has been very bad on Twitter. I think this is the most united I've seen the community on social media, which is interesting. In ever, possibly like the double wild card was the last time people were this united and agreed across the board that this is outrageous. But $1,000 for proxies is insane. And it's a loot box proxy at that. You're not even buying a set so you can play with your friends.
Right.
$1,000 for a set so I can actually sleeve these up and play in my cube would be dope. But like for a loot box, $1,000, like this is a card game. I get that there's collectors. I get it. There are old cards and the reserve list was a thing they did forever ago. But like,
they had to price it this way so they wouldn't damage existing values.
Yeah,
now, Wizards can't. Wizards can't ever mention the secondary market, like officially. That has to be a black box. But we're all smart enough to know that these numbers don't line up accidentally. Is the way I put it.
This is tacit agreement of what the value is.
Right.
But they're proxies. So they're not hurting the real ones, and now they're going to try not to hurt the other older fake ones.
Yes.
And then the fake ones aren't on the reserve list.
Nope. Well, and that's when we entered a whole nother debate with the Commander folks. And Pleasant Kenobi was just like, this is silly and ridiculous. And every Command Fest, every one of them has to do this weird toe line thing where it's like, we're not going to police your decks. We're not going to go through your collection and throw out crap. But officially, proxies are not allowed in sanctioned Magic stuff. Technically, physically, ever. That's just...
what does tournament legal mean, right? Because tournament legal is official Wizards of the Coast tournaments.
I suppose.
EW can do whatever the hell they want, for example.
If they're not sanctioned, then you can do whatever you want. You can have these be playable.
What's the value of sanctioning? Your
these
DCI
days?
rating? Yeah, these days. What's the point to sanction a tournament?
Sometimes sanctioned tournaments get some support from Wizards, like at larger events, I'm sure. Like that's why they're so gung-ho, even for like the free entries. Like when you go to PAX West or Gen Con or anything like that, they make you sign into the Wizards app because that's how they get reimbursed for the product.
Yeah. I think that I'm not opposed to this product existing. I think that this product is taking a very aggressive tack in a direction that I would not have anticipated.
I didn't see this one coming.
Mostly because whenever I would hear like vocal mouthpieces from Wizards, particularly Mark Rosewater, talk, they would never have suggested something like this.
Well, not only did they never suggest it, so on my birthday, 5 years ago, September 24th, 2017, someone mentioned, hey, could you do gold bordered cards? That'd be nice, yada, yada, yada. And he said, we are unwilling to reprint reserve list cards at normal card size, regardless of border or back. And in 5 years, that went from the hard line to no
What's Mark
line.
Rosewater's job? Mark Rosewater's job is not official mouthpiece of Wizards of the Coast. So
he's lead designer. Yeah.
He's lead designer. His job is not in the description. He can say what he wants on his blog, Atog, but that is, these are not the express written words of Major League Baseball. So I think that this product, the idea of this product is good. I think that it's aimed at the people that it needs to be aimed at. It doesn't actually, it doesn't lower prices. It doesn't keep anybody out. It feels like a secret lair. And I think Pharmacist Judge wrote somewhere that if this were a cube and they were selling it for, a set number of game pieces for $3,000, $4,000, that would be more palatable than this, because this is random, like booster packs are, but they are random for non-tournament legal game pieces.
Right.
So I'm not as nose upturned about this as
someone's going to spend $1,000 and open 4 proxy Savannah Lions.
Yep.
Like, that is just going to happen.
Badlands and a proxy Moxjet. And what does that mean?
But more likely they're going to open a proxy Veteran Bodyguard and like
and
3 other proxy garbage. Yeah. And they're going to say, darn and rats, my lottery ticket didn't come through. And, how, like, I don't know. I'm just not as upset about it as I think a lot of people are.
This is, and I will note that ultimately, this you can run out this product is not for you, and blah 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 blah. For me, it's about not damaging existing collections while also having a product that is unbelievably ridiculously profitable. If selling,
it sounds like we're pretty close to a red zone. If you want to talk more about this.
I think we should keep moving at this point, to be honest.
Okay.
Not a big deal, but ultimately there's pack cracking simulators out there that you can check out. There's all sorts of ways you can spend $1,000 and not spend $1,000. I will throw out a little bit of inside baseball because I've been talking about this to some people about, there was a post from, I believe it was Quinton Hoover's sons.
Yes. This is actually super interesting. Well, go on.
Right. So here's the rub. So as I understand it, first of all, records from the 90s are hard to find, as it turns out. So a lot of those documents that had those agreements, they may be difficult to discern. That said, the other thing I've kind of learned and found out about was that at some point contracts were changed. At some point it was based on either percentages or royalties, and then they moved to a non-percentages and royalty system. And again, as I understand it, if an artist agreed to the new contract and made art for Magic again thereafter, it superseded the old agreement and all of the old artwork attached to the old agreement. Mm-hmm. So basically, the Hoover folks are not going to have much to stand on, because if the artist made artwork in the new agreement after a certain time, then it retrofitted all the old stuff. So
interesting.
That's all I got. I don't know if that's true or not. These are things I hear in the world, and so because I think it's interesting.
So I clicked this pack opener simulator,
mm-hmm.
and I did open 2 pieces of power in 4 packs.
Of course you did. So what you're saying is
it's time to gamble, everybody.
Get that $1,000, bruh.
Look, I've also seen a lot of people have to open 4 sets before they got their first power. So $4,000.
I've also done it a couple times since then and have not opened any power. So,
and for what it's worth, there will be an amount of YouTube revenue that will be generated by opening these things on camera that can pay for a lot of them. This is very similar to the people who buy a brand new iPhone just to smash it into pieces.
Sure. Because
the YouTube video makes them $10,000 and they spent $1,200 on the phone.
Oh, who's ready to flip it and rip it?
I know, right? We're gonna.
Evan, if Cool Stuff would like to sponsor my channel to
pack
open
openers,
these,
there you go. We got it.
I will happily do it, and we can post it on the Cool Stuff.
That's right.
Website, and I will send them back to you.
Well, I'm lucky.
That would be great.
I'm happy with them sponsoring my salary at this point, so we're just going to keep moving. As we move on out of the first pick to gather the townsfolk, thanks to our sponsor, cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. Because Wizards announced a really cool Universes Beyond thing that's coming from 2 completely different universes, as it were. Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed.
Woohoo!
Woo! Isn't that awesome?
Final Fantasy, yay!
Yeah. Can we get the Buster Sword? Can we please get the Buster Sword?
Please be 9.
Of course.
Please be 9. Please have something from 9.
I bet it's gonna be all 7 based personally, but I'm okay with that because I want Cloud, I want Sephiroth,
I have lost
Buster Sword.
context of this conversation.
I don't know nothing about Assassin's Creed.
I know what a Buster Sword is.
Jay and Nelly went on like some 40 tweet thing today talking about the history of Assassin's Creed and all the weird, storylines and bloodlines and stuff, but that's not really my jam. But Final Fantasy, that's my jam. Like, let's go. Like, I hope they do like some pixelated cards, like some 8-bit cards or something. That would be super rad, like they did with the Snowlands there for a minute.
And they have to print it. Sorry.
That'd be cool if they did like a couple of cards, like 6+, and it's like one from like a bunch of different Final Fantasies. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Well, because as we know, they're doing like 3 Warhammer 40K secret layers. So they may do multiple of these products for these universes.
Right. There could be
Final Fantasy 9.
There could be one deck that is all Final Fantasy 15 or whatever, and then one deck that's Final Fantasy 9 and all of that kind of stuff. I want to see the Final Fantasy like garbage spin-offs. You know what I'm talking about? Like, weren't there some like Final Fantasy games that the regular Final Fantasy games don't acknowledge as being Final Fantasy games?
I mean, there
Am
were
I making
a lot.
this up?
There were so many of them. That was part of it. That said, I mean, this kind of joins the Doctor Who stuff that they're going to be doing. God knows what Lord of the Rings is going to be in there. One of the things that was interesting, talking about Universes Beyond, was that Wizards currently, as I understand it, do not have any plans whatsoever to reprint the Warhammer 40K stuff in universe unless there is like a need or a desire, or my guess is a card blows up in price or something. And so it's kind of weird though that, that and particularly the Surge Foil stuff, the collector decks, which remember when I begged you to buy them at $5 or $5.50 and now they're at $900. Right. Well, those Surge Foil versions are probably as close to reserve list as we're going to get these days, because it's a very, very unique printing from a very unique IP that would be very difficult to reprint. So do with that what you may. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to move on. Apparently there's going to be a Post Malone secret lair.
Great.
And, again, I think it's dope. I mean, Will Smith secret lair win, right?
It's only going to be celebrities celebrities on the scale of Post Malone that enjoy Magic. So,
are you sure?
It's got to be, right? Like, you're really just going to sign random celebrities to brand deals? Is that a thing that's going to happen?
Chris Pine is going to be in the D&D movie. And if they were to say, hey, he also plays Magic, or they taught him Magic and he likes dragons or whatever the hell. I'm just thinking off the top of my head in terms of like their publicist says, hey, this is a cool brand deal. It gets your name and face out there. It builds on top of your celebrity. It's good for Magic because it brings in faces that have never played Magic, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying I want it, and I'm not saying, I need that in my life. I'm saying that our new reality is Taylor Swift's secret lair win.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Will Smith would be a dual deck. That'd be pretty funny.
I'm trying to think of other celebrities on the scale of Post Malone that this would work for. Because, like you say, Chris Pine, I think Chris Pine is significantly less famous than Post Malone. I'm pretty sure. Like especially amongst people that you want to be selling Magic cards to.
And
I don't know that for a fact, but
could be
like
fair.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Magic, right?
Right.
He's an A-list celebrity in Hollywood who demonstrably plays Magic. Had an interview on Geek and Sundry about it. Like, has talked about his old collection of Magic cards before. I still think Post Malone right now is a bigger name than Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I could be wrong.
I agree with that, but I think Chris Pine's also still a movie star right now. Whereas
I agree. Sure.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt hasn't been anything in a minute.
That's fair. But the point is, I think that Post Malone having a secret lair is the only celebrity I can see having a secret lair unless something drastically changes.
I think they're going after him because he's doing so much with Magic. He's being massively endorsed by game nights and Tolarian Community College and everything else and whatnot. And he's just he himself is getting involved in the Magic community, so Magic is going to come around. I think IP stuff, I think they are a lot more interested in getting the Magic brand in front of the Street Fighter community and in front of the Final Fantasy community. Like,
Yeah.
I think there is more money to be had having people who play games and who follow a franchise be interested in the product that we are producing versus Post Malone or Chris Pine. Like, what do their communities and their followers have that will make them really want to look at Magic? I don't think there's as much money there.
You know, I would argue that while the Post Malone Secret Lair is fantastic and it may sort of trend upward in the star chart or whatever, it could also trend downward. And there could be an MTG Nerd Girl Secret Lair.
There you go.
At one point in time.
I love it.
Like, what if they came to you and they're like, hey, pick 5 of your favorite cards and let's see what we can do, and, you know, go from there.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty rad.
They did do that thing where they had a couple of content creators do the draft in the beginning of Arena's early days. That was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
They had, I know Amazonian did one. I know Gabby Sparks did a draft, and like somebody else where they made a limited format around like the way they like to play Magic. So they incorporated some personalities into Arena that way. That's cool.
Nice. Well, this next story, I definitely want to get your take the most on this one. This is about the Alchemy rebalancing for October 6th. They just changed an absolute ton of cards in Streets of New Capenna, and we'll get to that in a second. First, it's important to note that they rebalanced, aka unrebalanced, the historic cards like Asika's Chariot and Faceless Haven and Luminarch Aspirant that were like basically nerfed in a variety of ways. Those have been unnerfed, which is nice, so we can actually play with the fully powered versions even in Explorer or Historic. But holy cow, this is wild. After reviewing the Streets of New Capenna limited data collected over the past few months, they found 3 issues they want to fix. They want to encourage 3-color decks, they want to slow down the pace of games, and they want to make more cards viable draft picks, which means the drafting of Streets of New Capenna just got like dozens of changes. Dozens. And that's a lot. Nerd Girl, how do you feel about all this?
I don't understand. Like, this is not an Alchemy set. So when I go to draft this, I'm not really looking to draft Alchemy. So I was totally fine with the D&D set being Alchemy because that's what it was. And people were, I have a lot of people in my community who were just like, I'm not touching it. It's Alchemy. It should be banned. I am, boycotting it, a lot of yada, yada, yada. But now they're going back and they're taking normal sets and forcing them to be Alchemy. I think this is a bad move from Wizards, and they're not going to offer both versions. If I want to practice Capenna for any reason, that goes out the window. Now I have to go back to Moto. I think that they are forcing Alchemy at this point now that, and I'm one of the moderates in this situation. I was fine with the D&D set where a lot of the community really wasn't. So now changing the Premier set to Alchemy is a dangerous spot, I think.
Interesting.
And also, how is this relevant? Like, why are they making these changes?
If you know a format is not very good, or you know that there are problems with a format, you can mathematically lay it out in front of God and everybody. Would you leave it that way? Or would you say, hey, we literally have the tools to try and make it better? I mean, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I just feel like that's kind of where they were, and that they're like, mathematically, they know these things are not doing what they wanted, right? These aren't, they wanted a 3-color format. People aren't playing 3 colors, right? So how do they fix that? Or should they? Nerd Girl, do you feel like even if a draft format's bad, you should leave it bad?
I mean, I would actually be okay with them doing it as like a promotional thing, like for this month or something, we are doing Alchemy. But the idea that they're changing this forever, like this is now the packs that you open, even though that's not the cards that you can play in Standard, even though that's not the draft that we do when we go to the card store, when we go to Magic 30, there will be Capenna drafts and seals because they're doing everything. We can't practice. We can't do anything. They're taking the rest of Magic away from us and kind of forcing Alchemy down people's throats.
Yeah. And that's really when Arena struggles and when the community goes to arms, which is when they take stuff away. And Alchemy was never advertised as we're taking stuff away. It was always advertised as this is a new option. These are new things we're adding. Mm-hmm. And every single time they've done something like this, where they have changed something but said this is the way it is now, and the way that it is now does not match paper cards in reality, has 100% of the time not been received well. And I don't see why we would continue, like why that would change for this. So to answer your question of if a set's limited environment is bad, would you keep it bad or would you alchemy it? If those are the only two options.
Those are your only two options.
My only two options, I would keep it.
Or girl, would you leave it the way it was?
I would leave it the way it was. I would be okay with, like I said, month-long promotions where you get to re-experience it in the Alchemy format as an additional bonus. So we have a premiere draft, we have a quick draft, and we have an Alchemy retro revisit. Would be cool.
Put it in a little sidebar, right? Where it's got like this week's midweek magic event is some crap.
But I also recognize that that's a lot of work to do for a month and then to undo after a month, right?
But you can still bring those back. It can be another version. They have premiere, they have quick, they have traditional, and then they can have an Alchemy draft, and they can. I would play it personally because I'm interested in it. But like, I would also like to be able to play the way the paper cards are because that's how I play Magic on every other platform.
Fair enough. All right. So we move on here to Desperate Ravings. And to do so, let's check out our Alter sleeve. Support the show by using the code MagicMikes at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mikes crew at altersleeves.com/MagicMikes. Go check them out. Tell them we sent you. So Hasbro has gotten, well, first of all, we noted that they ran out that 30th anniversary video thing. This was a pre-recorded video. They ran it out first thing Monday morning, literally 6 a.m. And their stock dropped by like $3, 8.7% after the MTG 30th anniversary edition announcement, which was kind of funny, I guess. Kind of weird.
It's gotta be disconnected, right?
You think?
Well, Wizards is not big enough of a piece of Hasbro's pie to drop this much, right? In a second?
It's most
Wizards
of their
is over
profit.
20% of their profits.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Wizards of the Coast is D&D and Magic is over 20%.
Oh yeah, it's big money. So like, and again, some of the most profitable stuff that they do is through Wizards. That said, they also decided to announce their plan to grow the profit 50% over the next 3 years with our Blueprint 2.0 to execute our strategy across toys and games and entertainment and licensing to continue to bring amazing brands to life, etc., etc. And so allow me to bring up something I had not put in the thing, but I should have. Wizards is going to put Transformers cards into the Brothers War bundles and set and collector boosters. In fact, the holiday bundle is going to have a Transformers die, not a Brothers War die, as well as a foil Transformers card in it. Now, listen, I get that the company line is that the coolest place or the place that made the most sense for these to, put in would be one about awesome mechs and mechanical type creatures or whatever. I think the other half of that argument is that it is just ham-fisted as hell to shoehorn Transformers cards into what's supposed to be like Magic's greatest story, celebrating like one of the best storylines of all time. And then it's like, oops, 15 Transformers cards.
Yeah, I don't love that.
It's so like, I love Transformers, and kidding me, this is a guy who loves Transformers. I'm not pissed at the cards. I'm like, why did you just do a secret lair? What are these doing in packs?
Right. It does seem
because they want to sell the packs. Right. This is the new Hidetsugu.
Well,
right?
no, the
Like,
new
it's-
Hidetsugu is the serialized cards, right? The X out of 500 Wormcoil engines, right? And they have a whole mystical archive-like artifact thing going on right in the background. They didn't feel like these were necessary at all. This feels like Hasbro came down from on high and said, put Transformers in Magic. And they're like,
Well,
do we have to? And they're like, you have to. And they're
let
like,
me try to figure it out.
that's what it feels like.
So the Brothers War is all about robots.
Mhm.
We got some robots.
We do?
Maybe we can shoehorn in a Brothers War themed Transformers secret lair where Optimus Prime art is Urza's head or some crap like that, right? We can make this work. We can make the Decepticons Mishra's forces. We can make the Autobots Urza's forces. They didn't do that. To be clear, it does seem anachronistic where I'm opening up this historic, the greatest war war story that has been told in Magic the Gathering,
Right.
and I'm opening up a Starscream. Like, that's a little weird, but they definitely could have figured it out and said, look, these are both robots. We can get there.
I think that's what it is. I feel like it's a little to hear Evan describe the Brothers War automatically told me how he was going to feel about anything that sort of broke the mold.
Sure.
Because he's like, this is the greatest thing. I've been talking about it for months since we've heard about it. I love it so much. It's the best thing. I'm going to reread all the books. And then anytime like, oh, they did this thing, it's like, that's not how people like their favorite things to be.
It is
if that makes
sacrosanct.
sense.
It is
Yeah.
sacrosanct, and you are sacro in the sanct here. And look, as a guy who loves Transformers, this is cool, but it's not where it's supposed to go. That's not how it's supposed to do.
I don't think that Hasbro was like, I want you to get these in here. I think it was more along the lines of like, hey, we have access to this sweet IP that a lot of people like, and it will likely help sell more packs.
Right. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't think it's any more nefarious than that. I think they just wanted to put something cool. And this seems like, looking at it briefly, I don't know a lot about the Brothers War, but robots going to war, I can't really think of any other IP I'd like to put in other than Transformers.
I agree. And looking at it from an angle of every old hat is going to buy this set because it's an old story that they love. But the 13 to 18-year-olds that don't have that emotional connection to the Brothers War, now there is something maybe for them to latch onto. So now there is something a little bit different and a little bit special, which is these weird Transformers cards that you can't get anywhere else. And maybe that will, gateway them into learning about the Brothers War and getting in touch with these characters and falling in love with the history that we love so much.
And what we had talked about earlier about the universes, now they have universes beyond and universes within is a way to talk about them. So UB and UW, but to not have universes within versions of these Transformers characters planned in any way, that's also not worrying. But again, it does feel like they're setting up sort of very reserved list style printings of cards where if there is no, plan to get these in packs otherwise, in 3 or 4 years, 5 or 6 years, 10 years from now, these Transformers cards could be ridiculously expensive.
Well, the cards themselves won't be on the reserve list. They
won't, but they require certain
Although
hoops
it is
to be
weird that they
jumped
have
through.
the name Starscream. If it was like a different name with like Transformer art, they could just reprint the card with new art like they do all the time. But the fact that it has the Starscream name does make it a little weird because you can't just reprint a Starscream in the next, Kamigawa set or something. Like
They did rename Bumblebee to Goldbug, which I'm not. If
That's
you're
messed
gonna,
up. That's
it is
not
messed
cool.
up. If you're gonna go Transformers, like let's not. Don't Goldbug me.
Yeah,
I
not
agree.
having
I didn't
Bumblebee
know
is-
that.
Yeah, not having Bumblebee was just a huge miss, like giant.
That is Bumblebee. It's just called Goldbug.
I don't. That's
It's like how Limdul the Necromancer's been walking around as the Raven Man the whole time. Like, come on, man.
Not cool. Not okay. That said, unless you guys feel strongly about any of this stuff,
Nah.
it was fine. Were there too many previews all at once? Maybe, Infinity was supposed to come out on April 1st, and Warcraft 40K was supposed to come out in August. And yes, you got them all at one time. And for what it's worth, that sucks for Infinity. Infinity is getting just completely pushed to the background at this point.
Yeah.
If you've got money, you're probably spending on 40K. And if you're not spending on 40K, you're likely waiting for the Brothers War at this point. And Infinity is just weird and funny in the middle of it. And it sucks. It really does suck. I hate that for it. You know, for what it's worth, the lands are sweet. The Galaxy foil shocks are like $100.
Galaxy foils look gorgeous.
They look very nice.
Yeah.
Check out my Twitter if you want to see some pictures of them.
Yeah.
Those are pretty as hell. So, you know, that's a thing. So let's move on here. Let's turn the corner to the finisher. Universes Beyond also announced that they'll be making a crossover with Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed, which, much like Desmond Miles sneaking up behind unsuspecting victims, I did not see coming. But it did get me thinking, what is the next Universes Beyond crossover you'd like to see, Ruben?
Well, we already have D&D crossover sets, so I don't need a Universes Beyond for my favorite non-MTG hobby, but we are still live for a Universes Beyond for my other favorite hobby, which is soccer. We can play cards with slide tackle, corner kick, and of course, pretend to be hurt for an angle to try to get a yellow card.
Nerd girl?
All right. Well, we just got Warhammer and Final Fantasy, so I'm good for a while. But here's my pitch. Just 4 words. Universes Beyond Texas Hold'em. I'd love to see a check, a raise, a fold. But of course, the only ability anyone would ever actually do is call.
That call mechanic. It's too good. Well, if you've ever heard me talk, you know I'm on my BS. Specifically, my Counter-Strike BS, which, by the way, is awesome right now. I'll talk about it later. So if I could have a go at a CSGO Universes Beyond, I'd love to see cards with snipe and reload, and of course, everyone's favorite Counter-Strike keyword and my favorite way to end a game, rage quit. That's right. There you go. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
It's good to be back. It's lovely to talk with you guys, and I'll see you, the audience, next week.
That's right. We'll see you guys on Monday. Pretty sure it's Monday for the top 10s.
Yeah.
Should happen then. All good, all good. We move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com, and Alter Sleeves, my co-host, MTG Nerd Girl, and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.